Oh, man. Have you ever seen in any Army movie a troop train? Well, I've only seen one or two of them. And usually they just show you getting on the troop train, or they show a bunch of guys getting off the troop train. And occasionally there is a shot in the troop train with Robert Mitchum. He's usually sitting there talking to James Whitmore. And they're talking about life, the future of Western man, and they're talking about the hell they are about to take part in. You know, that kind of thing. Well, let me tell you how a troop train really is. I'm in this company, see? And we have been for months on the edge of the abyss. Now, that's the big fear. And any time, you know, when a company's in wartime, there is one word that scares the living you-know-what out of it. Ooh, that is alert. When they say your company's on the alert, forget it. I mean, that's when it's funny. In reality, it works the opposite. The instant a company is put on the alert, it becomes incredibly somnolent. Just walks around. You can always tell the companies that were on the alert. All the other companies are marching around. There's always one company walking. That's the company that's about to hit the boat, you know. He knows that. Oh, is that a scary... They don't tell you where you're going, you know. You're not going on a guided tour of Bermuda. You somehow have a feeling that there is no Tom Dooley in your life. The old first sergeant said, "Come on down, having a good time down here in Guadalcanal." You know. Well, everybody is scared all the time, see? And yet, on the other hand, it's a kind of a peculiar two-edged fear. There is also the feeling of excitement, of the unknown. We all have this, see? And so old Company K, this dynamic, hard-hitting mess kit repair company. Oh, yes, the 3162nd Mess Kit Repair Airborne Company. I was in a handle platoon, and it's a hard-hitting crowd. We had two little crossed mess kits with a fork. There's our thing there, you know, and a little SOS under it. Really, it was SOS colored, actually. You'll explain that to her when you get home. Hey, wouldn't you like to see that old Signal Corps film that you used to see, fellas? You remember the Mickey Mouse? You'll have to explain that one. Every 6 months, for you girls who don't know what this is about, there was an Army regulation where all the guys were called into this tin shed. And they would sit on these... Hey, out of these. They would sit... That's the KP again. They would sit on these hard wooden benches. And you know what's going to happen? If you've ever watched the same dull movie 138 times running consistently, you know exactly, you see. So they're all sitting there, tin hats, chewing gum, fatigues on. They smell with that peculiar aromatic compost heap quality that you get with 3-week-old fatigues, that the laundry hasn't come back, you know, and the whole scene. Fatigues have a special smell about them. It isn't exactly perspiration. It's all kinds of things. It's anger, frustration, fear. That's French toast. It's all kinds of things. Oh, yeah, they eat French toast in the Army a lot, believe it or not, made out of kerosene. So, they have a special recipe. So we're sitting there, and wouldn't you love to see that movie once again? Revisiting old movies. There's the movie that comes on, and immediately it says, "This is a classified film." And it's black. The movie screen is black, and it says, and then it says, "A Signal Corps production." This is confidential material. Confidential, wow. And then it fades out, and there's another thing comes, Army Signal Corps film 6SJ7GT. Oh, it's the Mickey Mouse again. They all open the same, you know. They euchre you in that way. And then the screen goes black, and then it goes white, and there is a man standing there, and who is it? It's old Judge Hardy. Yeah, you remember Andy Hardy's dad? You've seen those old movies? It's Judge Hardy. It's what is Louis Stone, I think? And he's looking down at, apparently they hired him because of that connection. But he's wearing eagles. Old Judge Hardy's made colonel, you know? And he's looking down at you and he says, men, as an officer in the Army Medical Corps, it is my duty to give you some classified information. He looks out of the film. You know, we're not used to having people look right out of the film at you. Classified information. Boom! He pulls it down, and 18 guys faint. This is the result. And then 10 say, you know that great film. It really moves. And then it's got a real plot. And then about 2 scenes later, there's this guy. They show him, see, and he's looking right at the camera. And he says, I would be glad to tell all you guys if I can help. I wonder what happened to that guy. I wonder if he's still working in films. Well, I maybe I shouldn't tell you this, but that film actually got on television. One night in a Midwestern city, which we shall, for the argument's sake, give a fictitious name, Cincinnati. There's no city got a name that silly, see, so... And so it was you have no idea what goes on in television stations. Now, most people think a channel is something big, official. It's like Chase Manhattan Bank. This is Channel 5, Channel 9, Channel 2, very official. Well, actually, what a channel consists of is a sweaty, dirty, crummy little room and a couple of guys who are underpaid running a couple of bad projectors and plotting. Well, about 1:15, late at night in Cincinnati, on a channel which shall go nameless, a friend of mine was at the controls. 3 guys, engineers, and on would come the preparation H commercial, and off it would go. And they're going through one of these endless, long, late-night movies. A lot of Englishmen going, by George, those films, with the guys with the big hats and the white ties, and you see them, they go on and on and on. You don't think they were ever made. Can you imagine people paying money to see them? How depraved can you get? But there must have been a day when a guy planked down a buck to see. And it's kind of murky, shot underground, and they keep riding cars back and forth real quick, jumping out and running around. Well, it was one of those films. And incidentally, are you aware that I saw these guys in the same television station do a great thing one night? They took one of those films, and they merely played reel 9 first. Then they played reel 2. Then they put in one brief reel of a Jimmy Ackley movie. This is a hillbilly singer. Then they went back to the original movie, and they finally wound up with the 3rd reel. And I came on and I said, you've seen tonight's feature presentation. We didn't get a single phone call. And our rating remained the same. So you begin to realize there's just a lot of klutzes out there in the dark. And they're just watching those flickering things. You can put anything on there, little shadows you can make, As long as you have the sort of background noise. Yes, and occasionally shoot a gun, then they'll know they're there, Boom, boom, boom. Make the sound of a galloping horse, you got them, see. They're watching like this. I'd love to see the idea of a real television viewer, the kind that stays up until 4:30 in the morning, the late show, doggedly, just sits and watches. That same Errol Flynn movie, he's seen it 9 times in the last month. How many times have you seen Green Dolphin Street here, gang? On and on it goes. And then finally, on comes the Star-Spangled Banner. He sits there and watches. He's watching Andy Hardy. He's watching Errol Flynn. On comes Ingrid Bergman when she was 6 years old. Watches this. And then on comes that thing that says the late show finale. And then the sound bum, 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 bum. And he goes, dun, dun. The jets go, whoa. He's waiting for Earl Flynn to come on again, you know. Chester Morris to be flying one of the jets, you know. And then all of a sudden it goes off. And you know that great sound? Have you ever had that feeling of being fantastically alone? When it suddenly goes, the Star-Spangled Banner, the Marines are through, and then it goes, oh, and on comes the white. He looks for a second. He gets up and he turns channels. White. All the way, white. It's the Neanderthal man at bay. His TV has been cut off. Well, one night at 2 o'clock in the morning, in the middle of one of those interminable movies with Trevor Howard, all of a sudden, after a commercial, on up, and 87 million guys who had been in lethargy since World War II. This is a classified film. Hey, Madge! Hey, Madge! His wife's asleep. Hey, Madge, here's that film coming on. No, it ain't Leslie Howard. Come on. Keep the kids in there. Lock the kids' bedroom. And it actually came on. Well, I suspect at that minute there was more phone calling, more guys calling up other guys. Hey, Charlie, get up. Guess what's on Channel 9? No, it ain't Judy Garland. It's Mickey Mouse. You remember the guy, Charlie, that says, if I can only help other GIs. Yeah, it's on now. Hurry up. You know. Oh, there's a lot to be seen in the Army. You don't see this side of the Army, you know. Oh, yeah, by the way, speaking of deathless fates, this is WOR AM. Okay. Now, you realize that there is another Army that you don't ever see. Never. And so, I am sitting now, at long last, Company K has been put on the alert. And we're in this Midwestern camp. It's a fantastic camp. There must have been 100,000 million people in it. Barracks as far as the eye could see. And they had a siding that came right into the middle of it with trains. And every night we're scared out of our skull. We could hear those trains leaving. You could hear companies marching past. You could hear the equipment rattling, you know. They're going. And now it is our turn. Company K is called to attention. Now remember Lieutenant Cherry standing out in front of us? And he says, men, we're going. Everybody. Where? We have just received classified orders. No one will leave the company area. About 15 guys had dates with chicks that were already standing outside the camp, you know, hanging out to the wall. No one will leave the company area. We are leaving at exactly midnight. Check your equipment. I want full field pack. I want it packed, and there will be an inspection. Dismissed. Oh. This is no kidding. We're going. I wonder where we're going. And we go back, you know, and there's always about 2 or 3 guys, you know, with the bravado. Remember, we're all a cool 17. A cool 18, maybe. And the old man of the outfit is about 19 and a half. So we're going back into the barracks, and the gasser's up in front. He says, hey, Lieutenant Cherry, you know where I can tell you to go. You know, into the PA system. Well, 2 hours later, we are all standing out there in front of the company area, full field pack. They have given us K rations. They have given us our combat arms. That means we've got clips. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine walking around as a live, living human being with a little medical kit right here on your belt? And in it is a great big bandage with sulfa and 3 ampules of morphine. Somehow, you feel like you're really doing something. Morphine on your belt. Ooh, wow. You got a great big trench knife hanging down, and you're going. Big steel helmet. Wait. We're standing out there in the darkness, and back of us is our train. Now, I don't know what you think of trains, but this is a special train. It's our train. It's just laying there in the dark, and 2 or 3 guys, with the big lanterns, are walking up and down. They're official railroad men. And we could see way down at the end of the train, guys were already being loaded. And now it's our turn. Lieutenant Cherry says, all right, company, attention. First thing I want to tell you, there will be a detail list that will be on the bulkhead near the rear, back by the latrine. Check your name on the detail. If you're on detail, report to Sergeant Kowalski. You will be checked up by name and platoon as we go into the cars, beginning with the first platoon. Attention, left face, by platoons, mount cars. Boom. In we go. Oh, each one, they're checking us off. Now we're in our train. Well, you know how they fix a troop train? It's got big pipes running up. It's not like any train you ever saw. They got bunks up on top. Everybody hangs his equipment. They sit down and wait. We're just waiting now. And we begin to roll, finally, into the darkness. Hour after hour after hour we roll. It's now about 4 o'clock in the morning. We're snoozing and dozing. There are guys moving up and down the train. We have no idea where we're going. You can hear the stuff clanking. And they had a rule that we had to keep all the windows closed to prevent knowledge of troop movements. We had no idea where we're going, see. And then at 5 o'clock in the morning, I am lying in my bunk. I'm sacked out. When all of a sudden, I get the flashlight in the eye. Come on, Mac. KP. KP on a troop train. What the heck? What is it? I'm a corporal. He said, get out of here, Mac. Move. And 30 seconds later, I am in the KP car. Now, you've never seen that kind of KP. You might have seen Private Hargrove. But have you ever wondered how they eat on troop trains? It's incredible. It's like a fantastic, completely out of control H&H. It's like a Horn and Hardart that has gone ape. It's like the biggest, unbelievable cafeteria line you've ever seen. And they have this open car with great big bins of oatmeal, great big GI cans, and it's hot and we're sweating. And there's this endless crowd of guys going through with their mess kits, and we're serving them oatmeal, plop, plop, one after the other, plop, plop, and they're just walking like this, plop. Once in a while you go plop, plop, and they don't even say anything. They just go like, move on. They lick, Hey, when you're in the Army, you get used to all kinds of stuff, it comes anyway, any direction. So they're walking through. And it goes on and on. It was such a fantastically hard job that it was like I was out of my head. They just keep going. And every 10 minutes they say, come on back to the car. We're going to wash the pots and pans. Let's go. And I'm washing pots and pans. Then I'm back out. I'm going to plop. Plop. Boy, you really learn about the human digestive system, I'll tell you. Incredible animals we are. We just eat. We're slobs, pigs. You have no idea how it feels to wash a GI can, which a 32-gallon garbage can is what it is, that's full of cigar butts, old tennis shoes, and burnt oatmeal. Well, hour after hour, and standing next to me is a guy in my company named Ernie. Ernie is from another platoon. He's just a guy I saw, but he's in my company. So all day long, me and Ernie are doing this thing. We got nothing on but our shorts. So hot. We're wearing shorts, GI shoes, nothing else, dog tags. You got the scene? Back and forth we go. All right, let's go, Ernie, for crying out loud. And behind Ernie is Gasser. The three of us are working as a team, see. working away, and finally comes twilight. And the last GI has glutted himself. The last pot has been cleaned. It is a pastoral moment. You know that great feeling of having accomplished a gigantic, rotten job. And you really did it, you know? It's like if they said to you, build the pyramids. Go ahead, build them by 2 o'clock, Mac. And you build them, you know, you finish and you say, well, here it is. Boy, man, it's a great sense of accomplishment. And so we're standing in the kitchen car, me and Ernie, Gasser, and they've got the doors open. And outside you can see the country going by. We are clipping along 60 miles an hour. That train is just rolling, and the breeze is coming in. And now we sit down. All three of us are sitting. I'll never forget this, one of the great, beautiful moments of the war for me. All three of us are sitting on the edge of the door. You know, the door's open, our feet are hanging out, and we're watching the people. We're watching the little towns. We are in Arkansas, in the heart of darkest Arkansas. And you can see the hills crawling up to the distance, and once in a while you see a little Esso station. And then you see an old ramshackle farmhouse. We're rolling. The three of us are sitting. And then you see the big sign, you know, that says eat. It's America, you know, we're watching. We're on our way to God knows where. We don't care anymore, you know. We're just dog-tired. Smelling, we stink. We've been sweating all day. We got our shorts on, just the dog tags, our shoes. And the train begins to slow up. Now, it was one of those trains. Have you seen those trains that are on the raised embankment with the gravel that goes down to the ground, you know? You're way up here. And we can see way down there a little road running right parallel to us. And off in the distance is a little town. And we are pulling in to take on water. The train is going chum, 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 chum. Clung, 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 clung. We're looking out, you know, you can see the engine. I can look down there and I see the little caboose light. And it's just getting dark. Beautiful, hot summer night. The temperature is about 90. And you can hear the crickets, the cicadas. You can hear the sound of the birds out there. We're sitting. And right down below us is this little shack. And on top of the little shack is a big neon sign that has one word on it. B-E-E-E-E-E-R. And it's glowing. It's just going like that. You can hear the transformers humming and everything, see? Beer. And so we're sitting there looking down. And I am feeling flush. I have $3.50 left for my pay for the month. And sitting next to me is Ernie. And on the other side is Gasser. And I say, hey, how about a beer? How about a beer? Gasser says, yeah. And Ernie says, yeah. I said, well, look, I'll pop. Which one of you will go? And Gasser says, I'll flip you, Ernie. Ernie says, okay, Gasser, I'll flip you. Boom, up it goes. And the next thing I know, I am slapping a buck into Ernie's hand. And Ernie, his dog tags clanking, is running down over the car. He's tearing down over the gravel, you know, and I see that little figure disappear. And he goes into this little shack, and we can see him in there. You know, he's talking, and the people are talking. A couple of hillbillies are standing there. Where you come from, Mac, you know? And you can see the big straw hats, and Ernie's down there, and I see him getting the cans. You know, he's got the cans, and just as he gets the 3 cans like that, he's got the change. Chug, 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 chug. The train starts to roll. Boom, 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 boom. I look down, I says, Ernie. And Gasser says, hey, Ernie! And you see Ernie down, and he's hitting the guy. He says, hey, Mac, you know, and he looks up. You can see that instant. The train is going. He comes tearing out. He looks up. There's the train. Going. Well, I have engraved in my memory the picture of the fantastic look on Ernie's face. I have never seen a look quite like that on any human face again or before that point. It was a strange look. His eyes were shining in the dark. You could see his mouth, and it was like his teeth were lit up or something. He's looking like that. And he starts to run up. You know, he's got the big GI shoes. He's running up the gravel embankment. And as he runs up, he's sliding, you know. He keeps slipping down. And the train is going, chook, 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 chook. Oh, my God. And I am standing there, come on, Ernie. And Ernie is running. He's not more than 1.5 feet from my hand. And I'm hanging on the door, Ernie, Ernie, Ernie. You can hear his dog tags, ding, 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 ding. He's got the beer, he's running. He's got a can opener sticking out of his pocket, you know. And I say, Ernie, drop the beer, come on. He says, are you out of your mind, you nut? Boom, he's running. Well, the train is now really clipping, and all of a sudden he goes into a side slip. And Ernie is not making it. And I can see Gasser standing next. Both of us are looking down. And we can see Ernie is now down on the road, running through the twilight. A lone, solitary GI, dressed only in a pair of old... By the way, these were not Bermuda shorts. These were GI summer issue underwear, M7. And he is running, and they're flopping, you know, and your dog tags, ding, 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 ding. I never saw a man run 34 miles in my life. Well, Ernie is running, and you can see him on that road, and way back in the distance, you can see the little beer joint. Ernie is running and running and running, and finally it is obvious. You can see the fireflies. The train is now clipping along at 60 miles an hour. And all we could hear in that murky Arkansas twilight was the sound of a pair of dog clags. You could hear the dog tags tinking, tinking in the distance. And now Ernie is gone. Disappeared. Gasser looks at me. I look at Gasser. He says, what are we going to do? He's gone. What's he going to do? I says, I don't know. We're off KP, see? He says, well, maybe we better go back and tell Lieutenant Cherry. He says, tell Lieutenant Cherry I'm not. What are you talking about? So both of us go back to our car, and we see Lieutenant Cherry. He's snoozing back there. And I sit down on my seat. Gasser sits on his across the aisle. We got our fatigues on. And then suddenly Cherry comes back. He gets up and walks back down the aisle. He said, you guys don't have to be on KP for the rest of the trip. We were due in, by the way, in an hour and a half, you know. He said, you don't have to be in. He said, by the way, where's Ernie? Where's Ernie? I said, well, Ernie stopped off for a beer. He said, Ernie did what? I said, Ernie stopped off for beer, Lieutenant. It's a beer. He wanted a beer. He said, they do not serve beer on this train. Where did he stop off for a beer? I said, well, I think it was a place called Joe's Rest. He said, have you lost Ernie? I said, yeah, we lost Ernie. By the way, it was the only time I ever heard of a GI signing a statement of charges for another GI lost. You know, that's a real in-joke there. Well, you know, I sat back in that car in the darkness. We were on our way to the POE. We had no idea where we were going. And all I could think about was Ernie. Gasser. 2:00 in the morning, he wakes up. And he comes down through the dark corridor. He wakes me up. He says, Shep, are you sure he really didn't come on? Are you sure? I says, he's gone, Gasser. He's gone. Well, 2 years after the war, I get a call from Gasser from the coast. I haven't seen Gasser for years. He went to Germany, I went to Africa. We never saw each other. I get this call. Now, on the other end of the line is this guy. He says, Shepard? I said, yes, this is Shepard. He says, do you remember me? My name is Herbert Gasser. Oh, Oh, Gasser, you old son of a gun. Oh, you owe me $4, Gasser. Do you remember that chick? I remember, yeah, you owe me $4, Gasser. He says, no, Shep, look, I'll send you the $4. One thing I want to ask you about. Did you ever hear any more about Ernie? I says, no, Gasser, I didn't. He says, do you think he's still out there? And suddenly it hit me. I can see right at this very minute. Now, July 1965, there is a gaunt figure wearing a pair of archaic army shoes of World War II, battered and torn. His dog tags are worn to a mere nubbin. He's got 3 cans of beer. And he is hiding out in the woods. He's afraid of the MPs. Have you ever heard about those Japanese that are out there on those islands? They don't know the war is over? Well, do you know anything about Arkansas? Well, I suspect that out there in the darkness right now, my friend Ernie doesn't know it's over. Ernie, wherever you are you aware, Ernie, that you were posthumously made a T5? Ernie, you got back pay coming wherever you are, Ernie. And Ernie, gang, let's call out to Ernie. You know, he may be hearing us somewhere. He may be skulking outside. He may be skulking outside of a bootlegger's cabin right now, listening to the radio. Let's all tell Ernie it's over. All together, gang, it's over, Ernie! Come on home, Ernie! Come on home! Give him a hand!